Good evening, everyone. I'm Billy Neely, and I'm the host of Daily Battles. If you're new to Daily Battles is the untold stories of heroes and warriors that are overcoming PTSD. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the lives and journeys of those who have faced the silent battle of PTSD. And in this podcast, we're going to delve into the personal stories of the individuals who have navigated the challenges of PTSD without the aids of professional treatment, and also the strengths and things that they confront with this invisible enemy. First off, as I always say, thank y'all very much for watching. This podcast means a lot to me, and definitely a lot of people that are watching it. We have touched a lot of people around the world, and what I would need for you to do to help us continue touching people is please like and share this. That means a lot to us, but it gets out there to where we need to reach and touch those individuals that are suffering with PTSD and dealing with that silent nightmare. So far, we have had a multitude of guests on Daily Battles. And again, if you're new to it, just like I said, Daily Battles is our stories of what we have went through and what we have dealt with in combat, jobs as a first responder, or even a person in life in general. And me personally, having PTSD, I've been in that dark place. And every guest that is on Daily Battles, they have been in the dark places or experienced PTSD, and these things have affected their lives and affected everybody around their lives. So today, I have a guest. This guy, as always, everybody has a great and amazing story. The hobbies that this man has, I definitely can relate to him because as you see when the screen pops up with him, the things that he has in the background are the things that I love, and one of the things that I do to help myself cope with PTSD. So tonight's guest, he's a United States Marine Corps veteran. Everybody, welcome Ben Rivers to the show tonight. Hey Ben, how you doing, brother?
Good, Billy. How are you, bud?
Oh, yeah, I would say living the dream, but we know that's not true.
Somebody's right.
That's it. Well, I mean, in the Lord's world, that's all I can say that's positive about that.
That's right.
So how's the weather over there in your world, man?
Hot and humid, man. It's past couple of days with humidity and heat index has been around 112 to 114.
Yeah, it's the same way here in Alabama. And with that being said, I think I sent it to you. I saw a TikTok video the other day of a big old deer feeder, and it's got a deer standing in front of it, and all of a sudden the lid pops open, popcorn starts popping out.
That's about right.
That is. So, Ben, first off, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for spending your evening with us and telling us your story. For those that are tuning in, let them know who Ben is. Where are you from?
From a part of South Carolina called the Low Country. I'm about 20 minutes from Parris Island. Born and raised in Bluffton. About the only time I've ever left was to, serve in the military. Got stationed in Hawaii, so that was a big change.
Oh, for sure. So you were born and raised in Bluffton, then, correct?
Yep, I was.
All right. I haven't asked any of the guests, and it was sort of like me. I was born and raised in Alabama, and then come straight back to Alabama after my time in the military. Did you notice a big change in the community as far as the way things progressed, or was it just the same old town?
Oh no, absolutely. The town that I live in is one of the fastest growing towns in the country, and when I came back, I was running stop signs because, they put them in while I was gone, and I came back, and I'm expecting, my same little town that I'm used to, and it was just booming.
Well, that's good for the economy in that area, but probably with us, it's a little too many people.
It is. You spot on.
So during high school, you play any sports?
I did. I played football. That was about the only sport I played, and then I also did JROTC.
Okay. Now, being in South Carolina, your ROTC was probably a Marine Corps ROTC program, correct?
Actually, so I live in Bluffton, and where Paris Island is Beaufort. So Beaufort got the Marine Corps JROTC, and we were Navy.
Oh, well, I mean, you work for the Navy, so
Yeah, something like that. We're the men's department.
there you go. There you go. So, after high school, did you go straight into the military, or did you do a civilian career first?
Nope, I went straight in. So I was supposed to graduate in 2005, but I had the credits to go ahead and graduate in December of 2004. And I was still 17, and I told my parents, I said, "Look, this is what I'm doing. So you can wait until April of 2005, and I'll go to Paris Island on my own, or you can go ahead and sign the papers for me because I'm ready to go." So they respected my wishes and they signed for me.
It's good. So, besides ROTC, what really drove you to have the desire to join the Marine Corps?
By far, 9/11.
Okay.
Before then, for years, I wanted to be a fireman, and then 9/11 kicked off. And going on to Paris Island when I was a kid with my grandmother because she had a sticker because my grandfather's retired Navy, and seeing them train and all, it kind of stuck out in my head. And I figured if I want to go in the military, no offense to the Army guys or any other branch, but if I want to go in the military, I want to join the best branch there is.
Well, you didn't go in the Army, brother.
Well, we'll talk about that offline.
And those of y'all that are watching that are non-military, every branch, we will ride and just tear each other up. But, at the end of the day, we're brothers in arms. We bleed the same. We raise the same style of right hand. You mess with one of them, you got all of us. Even though I still don't understand the crayon thing, but
you just got to eat one and figure it out for yourself, man.
I tried, man. It just it didn't come out too good. As one of my old platoon sergeants used to say, "Come out like a greased out turd." So, joining the military, did you have an MOS that you wanted to go into, or you just go by the selection, or did you was like, and actually the words of DJ saying, "I wanted to put some hate on them."
Absolutely. So I knew already I wanted to be a machine gunner. Okay. But when I went to the recruiter, he said, "Well, machine gunner is not an MOS that you can just pick. You have to go in the infantry and then either express interest in being a machine gunner while you're at School of Infantry, or they will select you based off of your stature." And, because I'm a big guy, he said, "You'll probably end up being a machine gunner anyways." So when I got to SOI, I found the machine gun instructors and I put a bug in there. Hey, this is what I want to do.
Well, I could definitely say that my first assignment in an infantry platoon, they actually made me the M60 gunner, and these days my stature is perfect for it. Back then, man, I was about 160 pounds. I was a dog to hunt, man.
It's rough.
And I didn't have an AG, so I had to tote my, my battle load and the M60 load. So I guess that's why I got so freaking big.
It could be, man. It's a tough job.
Yeah. Now, when you went in, were you still were you using the M249 saw?
No. So that was for the line platoons. I say line platoons. It was for the 11s. They were carrying those on foot. We had the 240 Golf, the Mark 19, and the 50 cal.
Okay. Which one did you like the most?
The 50 cal is always going to have a spot in my heart, but I love that Mark 19. Just the fact to be able to sit 1,800 meters away and tear somebody's house off the foundation just excites me.
And those of y'all that don't know what a Mark 19 is, it's a belt-fed grenade launcher, and the grenades are about this big around, and it has a very, very distinctive sound. Boom. Yep. And you can just launch them things, and you really don't have to look at the sights. You can just run those rounds straight into wherever you needed to go.
Absolutely. You know where they're hitting.
Yeah. So before we get started in some things, do you got a funny military story to tell?
Yeah. So my squad leader at the time, well, I guess actually at that time he would have been my team leader. He's a nut. I mean, just and still to this day, he hasn't changed a bit. He is still a nut. Todd Cowan. I can't remember. We were either at Bellows or the Kahuku Mountains doing a training exercise in Hawaii. And Hawaii was famous for just random downpours of rain. And so we set up our bivy sacks, our sleeping bags in a row side by side. And Cowan was next to me and he said, Rivers. And I'm a boot at this time. So I couldn't say no to anything. He's like, Rivers, if it starts raining, he pointed and he said, you see those culvert pipes over there? And they were massive, just probably 40-inch culvert pipes sitting on top of the ground waiting to be installed. And I said, yes, Corporal, or at that time, Lance Corporal, I see him. And he said, all right, if it starts raining, we're going to run over there. And I said, Roger that. So I got in my bag and I was sleeping and I must have felt maybe one raindrop on my bag. And all of a sudden I hear, let's go, Rivers. And I pop my head out of my sack and I see Todd Cowan running across the field, stark ass naked. Just didn't have a stitch of clothes on. I'm thinking, well, I can't say no, but I really don't want to go get in this damn pipe with this naked fella. But he's just an awesome guy still to this day.
The sick and demented humor that we have, it's amazing. I love it, and it's probably 75% of the things that keep me sane.
Absolutely.
Those of y'all that don't know, there's and I'm gonna start doing this is having all my guests, tell me some funny stories. Get ready for some crazy stuff because when a military member's brain is stagnant, something is bad. Something bad is about to happen. And I'll tell you a funny story of mine in the military. I was a jump master, and we were doing some certification jumps for some SEALs and force recons and some of our SF guys. And we're sitting on the back of a C-130, and we're probably about 20 to 30 minutes out from jumping. But the whole time, the recon and SEAL, they were on each other. I mean, there was, shot fired the whole time, man. And, it's very, very hard to hear on the back of a C-130, but if you've been on there enough, you can hear, and you can hear a conversation. And, naturally, they're cracking on each other. And the SEAL, he gets the first funny joke, and he said, hey, Marine, he said, how does a Marine count to 10? And, the Marine's like, F you, I know how to count to 10. He said, I'm going to tell you how. One, and another one, and another one, and another one. And, dude, that just, and I always dipped in flights or chewed tobacco, man. And that made me bust out laughing. And just the crazy humor jokes that we would tell amongst each other, it's priceless, man.
Oh, I've forgotten more than I can remember. Some of the stuff I've heard come out of guys' mouth, it's just like, what?
Yeah, for sure. So, straight out of your equivalent to our AIT, your MOS qualification school, did you go straight to Hawaii?
I did. They no leave time, no saying goodbye, nothing. They had us plane tickets ready. We jumped on the plane and off to Hawaii we went. Never been on a plane before.
It's a culture shock, man.
Oh, absolutely. That was my first time on an airplane.
Yeah, well, that definitely was a culture shock. So, do you like Spam?
I love Spam. I love Spam.
You probably enjoyed the hell out of it being in Hawaii, man.
I did, and it's wild. They have it on the menu at McDonald's in Hawaii for the breakfast sandwiches.
Sell it in gas stations and in
Spam Masubi's.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, man. Masubi is my favorite. I made some about 2 weeks ago, man.
They are delicious.
Yes, and in Spam, and those of y'all watching never been to Hawaii, if you want to know how popular and expensive Spam is, go to Walmart. You'll see it locked up. And I mean, I'm serious.
That's
I
nothing
was
to
over
do.
there about 3 years ago working a golf tournament, and that's when I really got introduced to Masubi. And we were going through Walmart, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get me some Spam and cook it back in the room. And went walking around, and it was locked up. I mean, the freaking alcohol was wide open, but the Spam was locked up.
That's
Now,
Hawaii.
and I guess a fun fact: do you know why the Hawaiians love Spam?
I don't.
So back during World War I and World War II, when we brought troops over there and everything for the wars, after we withdrew all of our troops, we left tons and tons of Spam there. And Spam actually started out as a military meat, one of the original sea rations.
I could see that.
Yeah, and I mean I've loved it my whole life, and that's kind of odd saying that with all the crazy sea rations or MREs that we've ate.
Yep. Yeah, some of them leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah. So while you're in Hawaii, definitely your downtime. What was your favorite thing to do over there?
Hunt when I could. So I met a guy that he was a security guard at the State Botanical Garden, and they were overrun with pigs. So I met him and got to be friends with him, and he'd close the gates at between 5 and 6. And when he closed the gates, he'd let me in there and have free reign, that. And I met a local guy out there named Kina. And as long as I brought him a bag of kettle cooked jalapeno chips and a case of Coors Light, he had a 45-foot boat with an inboard diesel, and he'd take me out every weekend that we weren't training.
That's awesome. And that definitely helps out with the morale for sure.
Absolutely.
So how long were you stationed in Hawaii?
About 2.5 years.
Okay. And then did you go to any other duty stations outside of deployment, or was Hawaii your only duty station?
Hawaii was it. And that was it.
Okay. So one of the questions I ask a lot of military members is, coming off the streets, going into the military, and you meet that DI for the first time, was it an oh shit factor?
Not so much, because being so close to Parris Island, every summer for JROTC, we would go to Parris Island and stay in the barracks for a week and do boot camp for a week. And they weren't as intense with us as JROTC, students as they are with recruits, but it gave you somewhat of a taste. So I kind of knew what to expect. I think the hardest part was knowing the area and knowing how to get off of that island if I really wanted to, or knowing the waterways, and it made it tough knowing the family was right down the road. And
so and you mentioned hunting and stuff like that, and naturally we see the waterfowl and the deer behind you. What is your favorite game to hunt?
Turkey, by far. Yep. You gotta be able to speak the language. There's a lot of communication involved, and you kind of gotta, in a sense, you kind of have to know what you're saying, because you say the wrong thing, they're gone.
Yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, that is a challenge for me, because when I got into hunting, in which I didn't grow up hunting, I just grew up fishing. And when I started getting into deer hunting, the first club I joined, 2,500 acres, plenty of turkey out there. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go turkey hunting, and bought the little cheapo, turkey calls, and got me a shotgun set up, got all the gear ready. And I start walking to a shooting house, and I go to step in and hear the rattles of a rattlesnake. I broke leather with my Glock. I double tapped it, and I was like, well, Billy's never going turkey hunting. And,
see, I don't mind a snake, but I can't do spiders. I can't do them. I'll pick a snake up, no problem. But a spider, no.
Man, brother, I'm the exact opposite. I grew up hating spiders and loved snakes, and stories growing up. Me and my brothers and cousins and friends in the neighborhood, we would wade a big old creek and catch water moccasins and sell them to an older black guy that would cook them.
Yep.
But in basic, I got nailed by a rattlesnake, and I was like, we're not buddies anymore.
Well, yeah, that might change your mind.
Yeah, that's the first, and even though I was medevac later on in my military career, that was the first and worst helicopter ride I ever had.
I've
It
heard
was
it's
not
painful.
fun. Yes, it's. I was telling a guy the other day, just pour gas on your hand, light it up, and then turn it up 100%, and then let it go up into your body. So yeah, it's not a good experience.
Yeah,
So when you were in Hawaii, were you and DJ Clark's stationed together?
we were actually in the same barracks. I was in weapons platoon, and he was in a you know foot platoon.
So you got any good dirt to tell about him?
No, me and DJ, we didn't actually become close until after we all got out. We have our annual gala down in
Yeah.
Clearwater every year that we go to, and we just he even said it one night. We went to our former XO's retirement, and he said it one night. We were sitting down at the hotel bar, and he's like, "Man, how did we never, link up or get to know each other while we were in together?" I said, "Because I was a boot. You were my senior." You know,
Now, so you're going to the gala. Do you know Andy Lynch?
absolutely. He was my company commander.
Okay, so Andy is our boss, me and DJ's boss.
That's right.
And, I don't want to say several years ago, probably about 5 years ago, working together. When I first started with the company, I ran the security division, and DJ went into training. And coming into it at first, he really didn't have that much to do. So I guess they loaned him out to come work with me.
Right.
And so I saw how DJ is. I saw his posture, the way he carries himself. I don't want to say monotone, but in a way, DJ is monotone. But a few years later, I was talking to Andy, and I asked Andy, I said, "How was DJ as a Marine?" And he said, "Probably one of the most loyalist Marines I ever had." And I was like, "Okay, give me an example." He said, "I go tell him to do something, Roger that." And he said, DJ would not come back until it was done or it was fucked up.
No, I knew DJ well enough when we served together to know that he was a shit hot Marine. And we did, one of the times I got blown up, we did get blown up together.
Well, I mean, there's no words to say about that, because I know what you're going through, but it's also good that you have a brother still around to talk about with that stuff.
Absolutely.
So, how many combat deployments did you do in the Marine Corps?
I only got to do one.
Okay.
Yep.
And where were you at in the deployment?
We were in Haditha, Iraq, in the I guess they call it the Haditha Triad.
Okay.
Al Anbar province, from March 2006 to October 2006.
All right. And so one of the purposes of the podcast, and I know that we talked about it, but PTSD is something that we both suffer with, and a lot of our viewers suffer with it. And I found that it helps our viewers out by letting you guys as guests come in and just tell us some stories about these deployments and in the situation that took place for the PTSD or even injuries and stuff. So where I'm going at is anything you want to share about it, man, to let the world know the bullshit you went through,
Right.
and how we're overcoming it.
So I remember when we landed in Kuwait on the way into Iraq. I'd never had much experience flying, no experience with jet lag or any of the stressors that I had on me at that time. I'd never really experienced that. And when we got into Kuwait, they pulled us all into a tent and, said it's time for a brief. So we went in there, and that was the first time in my life I've ever fallen asleep standing up. And so it's just the extra stress that it brings on, just knowing where you're going, because we had already gotten word that we were going into a hellhole. We heard about so we relieved 3-1. I don't know if any of the viewers or you ever heard about the Haditha massacre.
I have.
That's the unit that we relieved. So The whole 7 months before the deployment, we trained up with regular SAPI plates front and back. And as soon as we got landed, in Iraq, they were like, all right, boys, hand over your SAPIs. And we're like, huh? And they're like, yep, we're giving you armor piercing SAPIs. So we got these new SAPIs that were twice as thick, twice as heavy, front and back. And they're like, oh, no, we're not done. They're like, we're giving you side SAPIs too. So we put side SAPIs on. So now we've got all this extra weight that we never trained with. I mean, yeah, we did hikes and humps and stuff like that with packs and weight and stuff like that. But this is something that's attached to you at all times, So I was like, okay, this sucks, but I guess if it gives us more protection, that's cool. And then they threw another wrench in. So obviously I'm a machine gunner. They're like, Rivers, we're putting you on foot. Like, okay, like you just need me to do a mission? They're like, no, you're going on foot until we tell you. So the first half of the deployment, I was in 0311. And that was, it had its intense moments with firefights and all of that good stuff and all of the obvious, but shit didn't really hit the fan for me until the second half of the deployment when I got back on trucks. The first IED I hit was the one that DJ was with. It was a anti-tank mine and acetylene tank. And then 10 days later, which was the bad one that I hit, was double stacked Italian landmines in a Humvee. It was wild. I don't really. It was real wild. I think the entire 7-month deployment while we were there were probably one or two handfuls of times, the days that we didn't get shot at, didn't take contact. That they never engaged us at night other than IEDs. I think they knew that we had a much bigger upper hand than they did at night. So other than IEDs, they didn't really mess with us at night.
Right.
That second IED, it was weird because it was only like 200 meters outside of the ECP, the entry checkpoint coming into the FOB. And we were the 7th vehicle in the convoy. I was in the rear with the machine gun. And it was nighttime. And we were so close to the ECP, I stood up because, in the turrets, they have that cloth sling that you can sit in.
Yeah.
And I stood up to kind of stretch, and something just told me, sit down. So I sat down, and as soon as my ass hit that sling, all I remember is a huge orange fireball hit me in my face. And when I woke up, I was kind of laid back where the top hatch for the turret folds back behind you.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of laid up against that. I couldn't hear anything. And it had knocked all of the power out in the city. And the embers, I don't know if it was oil or what, because it was burning the shit out of me. But I remember I opened my eyes, couldn't hear anything, pitch black, and the embers were still burning while they were falling down. And I could see every star in the sky. And Billy, when I tell you it was the most peaceful moment of my life I've ever had, I could only hope to find that kind of peace again one day. It just so peaceful. I don't really know how else to explain it. And then when I kind of came to, like, the next memory I have is when the corpsmen were with me and all that.
Well, definitely, I want to say that I can relate to that peaceful thing because, my injury, almost the same thing, dealing with IED. But, unfortunately, the Humvee that I was in was obliterated. And there wasn't no sitting back and, I guess you say, stagnant time to be able to look at it because, immediately there was engagement along with it. But I've experienced other things like that in life, not naturally with an injury, but just having that floating around feeling.
Right.
And even though I'm pretty sure you were in so much damn pain, that the relief of just looking up and looking at the stars there wasn't an ounce of pain in your body at all.
I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't hear anything. I don't know, man. It was pure peace.
Yeah. And that's, as you said, those are things that us in the dark place dealing with the funk of PTSD, we wish we could go back to, but unfortunately, we search so damn long, and I don't think we find it until we check that wrong box.
Right.
So, from your injury, do they medevac you? Do you go to a mobile hospital there? How did it take place after that?
I can't exactly remember why. Like I say, my memory with this whole thing is spotty, and I've kind of had to put things together from what other people have told me. But no, they did not medevac me, and I can't remember why. And now my XO was in the truck with me, and him and the driver and the A driver got medevaced. I can't remember why. I know that there was self-aid, buddy aid.
Right. Do you think it might be like in the airborne world, the theory of is they say that when you crash and burn, it's not the first bounce that kills you, it's the second.
Right.
Or, a situation, a soldier that was tasked out to me for a while, he was involved in a parachuting accident to where when he opened his chute, another person come through it and knocked him out cold, and he fell over 2,000 feet.
Yeah.
And burned in. And they said the only reason why, or two reasons why he lived, is he was unconscious. But it's that freedom of movement of your body.
Right.
And I think the probably, and those of y'all that are watching, I'm not a freaking medical professional. I'm barely good enough to put a damn Band-Aid on. But I mean, do you think that them inside the cab, them being, not getting the first initial part of the blast, the tensing up, might have intensified some of that stuff?
Oh, absolutely, it could have, because I believe, if I remember correctly, from what other people have told me and all, I was one of the only ones that didn't get thrown out of the truck.
And bro, that's amazing being in that turret, because you're not strapped in.
No,
you're standing up, or most of your body is out of the vehicle. So
exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So from that, were you able to come back to duty?
Not full duty, no. They
Okay.
put me, when we got back to Hawaii, I did go ahead and finish out the rest of the deployment, and then got seen by medical once we got back to Hawaii. And that's when they realized that my L3, L4, L5, and S1 are ruptured. And so they put me on light duty, and they did offer me, if I stayed in, they said I couldn't be a machine gunner anymore, but they put me in one of the S shops in admin. And I said, no, you can go ahead and put me on a MET board. So they gave me a medical discharge.
Definitely understandable. I'd say, if I had things to do it all over again, I probably should have made the same decision as you, but I guess the peanuts rattled wrong in my head. I went back, to duty and actually deployed again from it, man. But, now at 52, my L section fused, and my S section now, man, is 80% deterioration because of all of that. So
it's horrible, man. You just, one wrong move or sneeze or cough too hard and your back's locked up.
Oh, and I didn't tell my wife exactly what happened the other day, but I know when she watches the episode, she's going to hear it. I texted her, said my back's killing me. I did something and hurt it, but I was brushing my teeth, and when I was spitting out, I coughed and freaking pulled something in my back, man.
Yep,
it's
awful. And they say people with PTSD, like we have, their body and minds age faster.
I could agree with it, man, because there's not a joint in my body that doesn't ache.
Yep.
I know when a good rain's coming.
Exactly. I was just
Yeah.
about to hit on that. I thought the old timers were crazy when they said, "Oh, there's a storm coming in. My joints are hurting." It's real.
Yeah. And I thought as the age, more and more injuries to the body and stuff, the newer injuries would supersede the older ones, but it's just another one tacking on to it, man.
Absolutely.
So when you made it out, man, and you go into the civilian world, what were your thoughts?
It was tough. I mean, it was real tough. I thought that, this won't be any big deal because, right when we got back from deployment and they took us into the chapel to do the ceremony for the guys that we had lost, they hit on PTSD. And I was that main number one guy in the crowd, like, "Oh, come on, man, let's just get out of here. I don't have PTSD. I'm good. I'm good to go." And then once I hit the civilian world again, that's when people started telling me, "Man, you're not the same," or, "Man, your temper is crazy." And then I started realizing, I started doing a little bit of self-reflecting, and they're right. And still to this day, my temper is 0 to 100 before you can blink.
Definitely understandable. So did you feel a sense of being worthless because, you were are a Marine, and it's bad problem everybody says were, but I mean, coming out with that mindset of, you're a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. Did you, mentally think, I'm worthless now?
Wouldn't say worthless necessary, but I certainly was on a search for what my purpose was at that point. Because it seemed like I didn't really have a definite purpose anymore. And, you know, you, that was hard to deal with because, when I was in the Marine Corps, I always had focus on something, always had a mission
Right.
to complete. And
Yeah.
when I got out, it was like, damn, it's like, twiddling your thumbs. What do I do now?
It's, and again, I know where you're going through, man, because even though I went into law enforcement right after I got out, man, it's just like, I wasn't a cop. I mean, in my head, I was, I'm an infantryman. I'm a ranger. That's my job. And to come out of it and go, well, am I really a ranger now?
Right.
And so, yeah, it's, and I guess the easiest way to say it's a mental mind fuck that really intensifies the PTSD even more, to where we're not sitting back in that moment, gazing up at the stars in that relaxed moment.
Right. And what used to, now I've kind of realized that it's kind of a trigger for me, so I know how to handle it. But what used to really get me was when I first got back was people asking you all of these questions, and the questions weren't what bothered me. What bothered me was when you answer those questions, it's just you don't feel like they're grasping what you're telling them, the severity of the story that you're telling them or the scenario that you're telling them. You can tell by looking at them and by their reaction and by what they're saying back to you that they're not grasping the full picture. You can't, and it seems like until you get around your military buddies and you start swapping stories and stuff, that's when you get the full, I'm getting what I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah, yeah. And those of y'all that are watching that are civilians, take that for notes. A veteran, a first responder, anybody that's dealt with a tragic situation or a physical situation to where their life has been altered. Remember exactly what Ben just said. It's hard for us to tell you what we went through, and it really, to me, it aggravates me. Of somebody is and I know you've heard this. How many people you kill? And,
I hate that question.
and I just say, do you really want to ask me that? And at one point in time, it aggravated me so much that I say, well, I'm going to add one more to the list if you don't shut up.
Well, and another thing to remember is me personally, I've grown enough that it doesn't bother me to talk about these things and all. But there's some people when you ask them, a question like that, how many people have you killed? You're making them go back in that memory bank and relive that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard as hell for us to get that shit out of our mind. And we don't want to go back to it. So those of y'all watching, take note of that. And I could say probably a technique and tactic that I learned in law enforcement, and I saw it in a class of interview and interrogation, is let this veteran or this person know that you're there for them. And all it could take is just a simple hand on our shoulder and, hey, brother, I'm sorry to hear that. What can I do for you? Those things are probably more powerful than what you think is you wanting to get your kicks off of a cool ass story. If you want to do that, there's plenty of movies that Hollywood has designed that'll give you a good sense of it. If you're still not satisfied, go into the inner parts of the cities in the rougher towns and just run off and say something negative. You know exactly what I'm talking about when you get shot at. So with your PTSD, brother, what does Ben do to help himself in a situation and you recognize something's going on? Tell the viewers of when you notice it, what are you doing to step away from society to keep it from going further?
You got to remove yourself, at least momentarily, until you can get that clarity back in your head. Remove yourself. And, even if you got to go back and explain to the people, look, I wasn't feeling right about this situation, or I wasn't feeling right about this conversation. I just needed to take a moment. I'm back with a clear head. I'm good to go. Lay it on me,
And I bet you'll agree to this as far as women that have never, whether you were with the male during the time frame or you come into a relationship afterwards, we know that a woman has the natural nurturing part, and they want to grab you and hug you. When that happens and we push you away and walk off, let us.
Yep.
It's been very, very successful for me by having a spouse that allows that to happen. There have been times that PTSD has fueled things, and actually she was involved in it, and it was an argument more than anything. I didn't realize PTSD hit me until several days later.
Right.
And so what I'm doing with that, y'all, is even though you're in an argument with your better half, if we're retreating, which we don't do, we're doing it because we love you and we want to save what we have with you.
Yes. Yes.
Because there's so many horror stories of veterans and individuals with PTSD that they lose it and they lay hands on that individual, and it's nothing that we want to do. And
no.
and Ben, I bet you can agree with me. When it hits us and that boiling level is right here, I have no freaking clue who I am.
Nope. I don't like the person I am.
Yes. And I would rather deal with the lapse of memory from being knocked out or blown up than lapse of memory of a PTSD situation.
Absolutely. For me, it's kind of gotten to the point where I'm very intimate with the emotion of anger, but I struggle with other emotions because when I start to feel other emotions, it's like it switches right back to anger.
Yeah.
When it should be sad, anger comes out. When I should be happy, I'm not going to say every situation where I should be happy, anger comes out. It's like that's where my mind reverts to.
So what does Ben do for coping skills?
When I can, obviously I've got a family that I love and I like to spend time with and do things with them. But when I can, spend time with me. I hit the woods, I hit the river, whatever I can do to kind of focus on me and kind of do some thinking and some self-searching and, kind of try to bring myself back down to earth.
Yeah. No. Great words to say that. So, as we're wrapping up things, you as a guest, I want you to lend your advice to individuals that are in that dark place, that are lost, and they're thinking of the sacrifice that's not the ultimate sacrifice. What is Ben's advice to them to not let that get to them?
First off, let me start by anybody that's listening to this and has felt this or feels it now. Don't do it. You've got, whether you think you do or not, you've got people that really love you and care about you in your life. And when I was in that situation, the way I had to stop and train myself to think is, when you can't live for yourself anymore, or you feel that you can't live for yourself anymore, then don't live for others, because they love you. They don't want you to leave. They want you to be here to make new memories. Don't be selfish, because I know that you're hurting and I know that it seems the only option, but it is very selfish. Please don't do that to yourself and others.
It's very, very true, man. A lot of my friends that have known me the past several years, they have seen the transition of who I was and who I am now. When the dark Billy was around, love and affection, the only ones that got it were my kids, because I made a promise to myself that when I'm a father, I'm not going to let them leave in any conversation without them knowing that I love them.
Yep.
However, during that dark time, those were words and they wasn't feelings.
Right.
And that was a thing for me to relearn in life, is how to love myself. And then once I was able to do that, I started spreading it out, and naturally, kids first thing. And like I said, all my buddies that I speak with regularly, there's a lot of things that I tell them that I do, and there's no damn way that Billy did that. Yeah, I did. My best friend JD, we were talking about Christmas and anniversary gifts. I bought the wife a little book, and I fill in, the sentences and everything. It's what I love about you.
Right.
He said, something's wrong with you, because that's not the guy that I know, but it is, because I found who I am. And just as Ben said, people love us.
Yes.
We just,
you got to learn how to love yourself.
Yeah. The mission's not over, guys and gals. It's not over. We're just changing the way that we do the mission, and the mission is life.
Yep.
Itself.
I with what you were saying about your kids is, I know that some guys have the mentality, oh, it's going to make me seem weak. It's going to make me seem this. Who gives a shit? Make sure that the ones that you love in your life and that love you know that you love them. Don't let 3 little words, I love you, deter you from letting somebody know. Tell them. If you love them, tell them, damn it.
That's it. And that touch.
Yes.
It means so much, because it's coming from the heart, but it's that I guess you say feeling and affection that
absolutely
they know. And in a story, before we end things, is 4 or 5 months ago, I was at an event where I ride my side by side, and there's a police officer. He is a veteran, but we had spoke several months before. But this one weekend, I saw him, and I saw that look on his face. You and me know what that look is. And through the things of the reason why I'm doing now, I wanted him to know that he was loved. And we were at a concert listening to a band play, and I grabbed him.
Don't matter where or when.
I'm a whole lot bigger than him, so I was able to snatch him up. And I said, "Hey, brother, you okay?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "No, you're not." And started talking to him. But before that, man, I probably had a good 20 or 30 minutes of talking to him. But I said, hey, I'm here for you. And I just grabbed him and gave him a hug. And I said, brother, I love you. Don't do it. And it was like, poof, opened up, and he was laying, just like you said, watching those stars. So, again, y'all, it goes back. Just touch us. You know, that's, now don't startle us because you might get popped in the jaw. But, you know, just let us know that, believe it or not, we might melt with that, but we like it.
Yeah, even if you just touch them on the shoulder, I see you. You know, let them know.
It. So as we you know, wind things down, brother, any last closing statements? I don't want to say arguments because we're not going to argue about this.
No, the whole 22 and the whole suicide thing. I want to hit on that again, man. Just y'all don't do it. Live for the ones around you. I mean, just there's so much to live for, and things get so much better. Absolutely.
And in my last episode, I challenged the guest, and I'm gonna do the same thing with you because an example was made with that. I want you to find 3 brothers that, whether it's DJ, anybody else, buddy checks on them every week, man.
Okay.
Whether it's just, hey, brother, how was your weekend and stuff. Those of y'all watching, I challenge you to do the same. And we want to hear stories about it. We want to know how everybody that's watching and how these things are affecting us, because there's only so many people that relate to me. There's only so many people that relate to Ben. And we cannot fix that bad number without getting out there with things like this. And that's where liking and sharing it, tagging all of your military buddies, best way to get this stuff out. And you never know. I might be so popular that Joe Rogan, I have to interview him, and y'all going to be superstars with me. Well, brother,
just bring on the money.
That's it, man. It's been a pleasure talking with you. I definitely I can see your face, and I saw the struggles of being able to open up and talk about it. But I know that you're reaching out to somebody. Lastly, to your family that has dealt with you, tell them that myself and everybody with Daily Battles, we thank them for their sacrifices. They have sacrificed a lot because of all the bullshit that we have to give them and they put up with. And I say sometimes they're more of the heroes than we are.
They're almost living it with us, not like we are, but they're living right there with us.
Absolutely. And then lastly, brother, thank you for your service.
Thank you for having me, Billy, and thank you for yours.
Cool. All right, man. Again, thank you very much. And those of y'all watching, this is another episode of Daily Battles with my brother, Ben Rivers.
Thank y'all.